Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and Happy New Year. This is the second one that we were recording today. So again, if you see the same background, that's because I'm recording two this week so that we can have both of the holiday ones for you. I'm Wanda Curley, your authority on project, program, and portfolio management. And this is brought to you by PM Powered, your consulting company on project, program, and portfolio management. So without further ado, let's get to what we have this week. So the first thing I have is from Workfront, and it's called Raising the CIO's Influence. Because many project managers work directly with IT or have to deal with IT in their projects, I thought it would be interesting to see what CIOs think about. So I was going to read you some statistics about CIOs. So 90% of CIOs find it easy to adapt to new environments, so they tend to be very flexible, and 81% say they are early technology adapters. So I think that's great. A CIO should be an early technology adapter. I'm surprised it's not a little bit higher. It says 76% of the CIOs take charge, and of CIOs take charge, and 76% think of the big picture. Somebody who is in the C-suite really should think of the big picture more often than 76%. I would think they would be looking at this big picture more like 90%. But I'm not a CIO. That's my opinion. But if you're in the C-suite, I would hope that you're looking at the big picture more than 76%. So 26% of IT leaders believe their organization is slightly or not at all effective in driving technology enablement or innovation. I found that a little bit high. Maybe I should be glad that it's not even higher, but that means that we need to bring project and program managers even higher in their skills. So 43% of the business leaders describe IT as significantly or fully replaceable by vendors and third-party providers. Interesting. So almost half of the technology that they have in their company can be replaced with third-party providers or vendors. So that's outsourcing. I would hope that companies have found that there's also there's pros to outsourcing, but there's cons as well. And many companies have found that there's more cons, and they've actually insourced all of their technology. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if this is the way that CIOs are thinking. 83% of IT leaders, so 83% of organizations are unsure of how to align projects to the outcomes they want to achieve. That is absolutely astounding to me. 83% don't know how to align projects to the outcomes that they want. That's what CIOs and the C-suite should be doing. And their project and program managers and the portfolio managers should be helping them with this. We should be able to align them. If you can't align to your outcomes, then your projects are going to fail. So if this is 83%, and the Project Management Institute has shown that if you align to outcomes, and those outcomes are aligned to strategy, that you have a greater percentage of your projects that actually drive the ROI. That's just astounding to me. Only 54% of IT leaders, mostly CIOs, feel their IT organization is capable of effectively leading the digital transformation initiatives their business needs to survive and thrive. Project managers, you need to be helping your CIOs and your your C-suite to do this. You should be able to drive the goals of the organization and should be able to map those goals to strategy. If they're not mapped to strategy, then you should be bringing it up to the C-suite and telling them, hey, this doesn't map to strategy. Why are we doing it? And maybe redesign the goals of that project. So what are some other ones? 58% of CIOs and CEOs say their current priorities include business growth, while 31% say technology. I think they should go hand in hand. Technology, the way technology is changing, it needs to be more so than 31%. Companies that align projects and people with business strategies are 3 times more likely to meet or exceed their target ROI or individual projects. Yes, the Project Management Institute even said that. So if you align people with business strategies, then you are more likely to make your absolutely more likely to make your ROI. In fact, the Project Management Institute said it was even higher. So what are some other things that are going on here? So becoming the leader among your peers. So you have to modernize how your teams work. You as the CIO have to do that. You have to step out of the traditional way of hierarchy and make it more of a flat environment. The first step to leading a digital transformation is to perform a technology assessment. Where are you in the digital divide? Are you lacking? Are you leading? So understand where you are. The second thing you need to do is centralize portfolios, programs, and projects. Alleluia. Absolutely, you should centralize. Centralizing work improves access and project visibility for all team members. At high-performing organizations, executive teams have real-time visibility in how all the work in the enterprise aligns with company strategy. Every project program should be aligned to strategy. Portfolio manager finds anything that doesn't align to strategy, they should kill it immediately or reassess it. Third, make business decisions based on data-driven analysis. Absolutely, justify your spending, improve professional services, digitize activities. You need to do all of this. So what are some other percentages that we see in this? 84% of CIOs at high-performing organizations are responsible for functions outside the scope of traditional IT, often innovation and digital transformation initiatives. Absolutely, I think they should be under this CIO. 93% of CIOs at top performing organizations report leading adaptable IT organizations. If you don't adapt, you won't survive in today's organization. So what are they seeing in work? In this report, they said work with increased visibility, implement more efficient processes, establish better priorities, gain clear insights into your teams, and allow IT leaders to make better business decisions. Absolutely, CIOs have to be able to make business decisions as far as it is to technology and the technology divide. Okay, so let's go to talk about how we can save our planet and how technology is helping to save our planet. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was the ocean. We hear about all the floating islands of trash out in the ocean. So while this one doesn't talk specifically about that dilemma that we have in the oceans, it talks about other things that we can do in the ocean. So there's technologies that actually tracks oil spills. Can you imagine technology tracking oil spills? And what it is, it's sort of like sonobuoys that they drop into the oil spills, and then it actually relays information to Iridium satellite system, and it shows how the oil spill is drifting and where it's going to. So that's absolutely amazing to me. So it's companies like, it's called Advision and MetOcean Telematics have devised oil spill tracking buoys with integrated antennas and power. So that's amazing to me. So fish farm centers. So the Ocean Supercluster is looking into opportunities for customizing underwater sensors to provide real-time data for monitoring fish and their environments in fish farms. New sensors, data management, and visualization systems allow fish farms to plan and maximize feeding times, thereby improving conditions and profits. However, fish farming remains controversial. It has been suggested that aquaculture operations sometimes inadvertently act as disease and parasite accelerators due to the high density, lack of mobility, and low genetic diversity of farmed fish. So that while we do fish farms, a lot of fish farms nowadays, we have to be careful with what we might be introducing into our oceans through those fish farms. Communication systems. So underwater communications has always been difficult, and especially with submarines, because underwater communications don't do very well. So the standard for long-distance offshore marine communication systems have changed over time. So current radio telecommunications technologies have improved safely and logistical operations. The system also remains functional in high heat and other emergency situations. Progress will likely continue in the direction preventing collisions and allowing goods to reach markets all around the world. So Technavia market research analysts have predicted that the global marine communication system market could grow at a compound annual growth of more than 8% by 2021. That's an amazing amount, 8%. Old submarine communication systems have been replaced with wireless technologies such as Wi-Fi and 5G. Which is amazing to me that now they're not doing low frequency, they're doing Wi-Fi and 5G. So what's another thing that we're seeing in the oceans? So we talk about automated and self-driving vehicles on our roads, but there are actually self-driving ships. So the Ocean Supercluster is looking into autonomous vehicles to improve the inspection and maintenance of large marine assets, such as ships, oil platforms, and industrial infrastructure. Although the media has paid a lot of attention to self-driving vehicles attempting to roam our roads, our asphalt, the same can happen in the water. With the emergence of unmanned and autonomous surface vessels, it seems obvious that maritime sector ships classify as a ship. This raises a significant questions as to what would happen with international regulations and liabilities. But the Ship Owners Club, a maritime insurer founded in 1855, has recommended that the existing frameworks be amended in order to accommodate the emergence of these radical new technologies. So if the insurance companies are actually looking at doing insurance for these new autonomous vehicles on the water, you know it's changing. It's being accepted. So what's the next technology? So it's ice tracking technology, icebergs. So ice trackers can serve an early warning system to oil platforms, letting them know that of treacherous icebergs that's happening. It can also let ships know if they're in the area of icebergs where they're tracking as well. So it can avert disasters. So what's the future of our oceans? The oceans is a shared resource transcending all boundaries and sovereignties, and it's vulnerable to exploitation. So we need to make sure that we protect our oceans. And right now there's some countries that do more exploitation than they do protection, but let's hope that eventually all countries are willing to protect our oceans, because we need to protect the wildlife that's in our oceans, and we need to keep it clean for our children and our children's children. So what's the next thing I have from you from Singularity Hub? Well, this one is called Life or Death Algorithms, Avoiding the Black Box of AI in Medicine. AI is going to help medicine a whole lot. It's already helping. They're already saying that AI is going to help to diagnose people with Alzheimer's and pneumonia more efficiently than doctors do. They're also starting to read radio X-rays more efficiently than X-ray technicians and doctors. So, but what do we do when we start having AI look at all the data and it starts seeing trends for cancer, and it says, this is what you need to do for this cancer, or this is what you need to do for that cancer, or other different diseases? And what's going to happen is that it's going to be able to find the cure for these things, but there won't be any scientific data behind it. It'll just be an accumulation of data that people can't do because there's so much of it, but AI can. Will we then have to test it scientifically before we accept it, or will we change the way we think? And also, will we have to have people make sure that they look it over to make sure that there hasn't been some type of error on the part of AI? Now, AI most likely will not do an error, but maybe it interpreted the data wrong. For example, if you have AI interpreting that somebody has pneumonia, it could be that they don't really have pneumonia, but because it was in an area of gray, that it interpreted it as pneumonia, but it was really just a bad cough, getting ready to border on pneumonia. Also, do we accept what AI wants to do with medications? Can we bring medications earlier to market and without all the scientific testing? Will AI be able to tell us what it'll do to humans without doing this? So it's a scary time that we're coming to, but do we now change it? Does the FDA change things? So I see things happening in the area of this. And yes, there'll be project managers having to do with this as well, because there'll still be project managers having to deal with the AI that looks at the medicine. So stay tuned in the medical community, because I think AI is going to change it tremendously. I can't imagine how much medicine is going to change in 20 to 30 years from now. So stay tuned, and maybe even 5 to 10 years from now. So our final article this week has to do with a drone. And I don't know if you read it in the news, but there were actually a drone attack on Gatwick Airport in London, and they think it was environmentalists that did that. And it actually shut down the airport because drones can actually bring down an aircraft if you're not careful. But this drone isn't like that. This drone actually can go from flying to submerging. And when you think about that, that's actually amazing. They don't have a drone that can do that, that has been able to do that. But this drone has been actually funded by the, let's see where it is. Well, anyway, it's been funded by the Navy Research and Development because they can see what can be brought on by this. According to Goldman Sachs research, this contributes to $100 billion market opportunity between 2016 and 2020. And this drone is called the Navigator. And it actually is part submarine and part aircraft. So that's amazing that you can have that. And they had a lot of problems with the buoyancy and actually working itself, destroying itself when it was going from water up back into the air. But what they found is that they could put propellers at the bottom of the drone and at the top of the drone, helps to stabilize it. I'm sorry, it was the Office of Naval Research that has helped to do this. So think about what this could do. This Navigator, as it's called, think about an oil platform. Now you don't have to have divers go down and look at the infrastructure of it. Think about our infrastructure in the United States with bridges. This Navigator can now go down and look at the infrastructure underneath water. You don't have to have drivers do it. Think about ships. Ships can send out a navigator to see if to find out what's going on with the enemy, and it can submerge it before it gets out there so that it can actually see where the enemy is at and not be detected, because right now I don't think we can detect drones underwater. And then as it comes near the friendlies, it would then reemerge from the water and start flying as a drone again. So think about all those things that it can do and things that it can't do. Think about having to clean a pool or understand for pool companies. It can send out this Navigator and it can send out and then submerge into the pool to see if there's anything that needs to be done other than traditional maintenance, or maybe it even does traditional maintenance. One of the things that it is not being able to do at this point is the battery life is pretty low. But the problem is if they put bigger batteries in it, then it can't fly. So again, remember we talked about batteries before for planes. The drones are facing the same thing. So as battery technology is increased, is maximized, then we'll be able to put more battery life on these drones. So right now it doesn't go very far. And also the camera doesn't work very well in muddy waters. It works very well in clear waters like in the Florida ocean waters. But once the water gets cloudy or muggy, it's not very good. So we have to work on that technology as well. And we'll need project managers for that. So again, everything that I've spoken about in the first part of this recording and the second part of the recording is that we need project managers for all of this. So stay tuned, project managers. There's a lot of exciting projects and programs that are coming along your way that you'll be able to do. I think it's an exciting time for project and program managers. If AI can do that stuff that we talked about for medicine, what can it do for our projects and programs? Only your imagination. So this has been brought to you by PM Powered, your consulting company and project, program, and portfolio needs. I am Wanda Curley, your authority on project, program, and portfolio management. I want to wish everyone a happy new year, and I'll see you in the new year. Remember to follow me by going to PM Current and following me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Happy holidays, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year. Take care.